Hi, my name is Sofia Bakara, and welcome to Coming Home to Her. I have a very spontaneous trip that I'm going to be going on in a week's time. Nonetheless, I'm going to be spending some quality time with my mother's family, and I'm very much looking forward to be in the Southern Hemisphere where I can get more sunshine and get more tan or keep my tan going. But in today's episode, I really wanted to touch base on long distance and the things that worked very much for my partner and I, and also the aspects that really taught me more about myself. And just in general, the context of long distance, I really believe is, of course, something that is not ideal in a relationship. It's not, let's say, the most wonderful situation you can be in, but also in my experience, it's taught me so much about what kind of partner I want to be, what kind of partner I want or have, and also how we work best together as a team. And of course, if long distance is not for you, that's totally fine. You do you, and you and your partner do whatever works best for you. But just basing it off of my experience with being in a long distance relationship for a year and a half, the ebbs and flows, the ins and outs, and the things that really worked for us. So first and foremost, my partner, when I met him, I was living in Lisbon and he was on vacation, where it kind of just happened. Honestly, fate, if we really break it down. Obviously, in our situation, I was living and working in my corporate job full-time when we met, and same as him in Vienna. So naturally, we could not be in the same city. That was just absolutely not an option. And also, I had just met this man and I was like, I don't know about this. Maybe you're just talking out loud and we'll see, which I also think is so fun. Relationships and the way that relationships start in the beginning, I always find it so cute and so fascinating. My partner, before he met me, said he was very strongly opposed to the idea of long distance and he didn't believe it, which is kind of ironic since we were together for a year and a half doing long distance. But on my behalf, I had previously been in a long distance relationship, although I was much younger, but still something that was not so foreign to me and something that genuinely didn't give me so much anxiety. The ways that we were able to navigate our long distance relationship and how we genuinely made it tangible, because long distance, depending how far apart you are, can mean that maybe you don't see each other for many months. And of course, that's also very discouraging and difficult from both people to really put in the effort. But the things that really worked for us, which I would advise any couple entering or in a long distance relationship, is to plan when you're going to see each other. So for my partner and I, we were super lucky that we were able to see each other every 2 to 3 weeks. And I want to say in the whole year and a half, or like over the course of a year and a half, we didn't see each other for 6 weeks, and that was the longest time, which obviously is not a reality for every partnership, and that's totally fine. But what we really made an effort for was every time we were physically present together, we always planned our next meetup. So whether that was me coming to visit him or him coming to visit me or us meeting in a new place, we always had a follow-up plan of when we were going to see each other next, which I have found to be very calming and also just gives you not only excitement to, let's say, go on a mini vacation or have a visitor visiting and to do fun things together, but also calms your anxiety of needing that reassurance if the partnership is something that's going to work in the future. So the mutual effort is, of course, very important. In regard to effort, without any effort, and without having effort from both sides, obviously you have bigger problems. So time is a huge one. For example, I was just working with my computer and my partner needed to physically be present at his job. So clearly I was the one who was, let's say, traveling more just because I had the time, I was able to do so. And ensuring also when we were apart, putting in the effort to schedule time together throughout our day or in the evening or in the morning or whatever is feasible within your relationship. Another huge thing is obviously financially, you do kind of need to, let's say, bank your meetups. Yes, it can be difficult, and of course, it's not possible for everyone, and that's totally fine, but at least planning ahead to ensure that you do, prioritize meeting up at some point and putting some, let's say, finances on the side to do so is also just something that both parties will appreciate so much in the long run. And also, I mean, it's not fun being separated from your partner for so long. So ensuring that you can do so is also so crucial, just to make sure that everything is moving forward and in the right pace, let's say. From early on, my partner and I knew that it wasn't something that was going to, let's say, be a reality for the next 2 years. Him and I had very clear goals, let's say, mutual goals together of, we're doing this now. We're obviously going to see how it goes, but we would like to live together or live in the same city by this time. So even if that goal, or let's say that date that you set on it, needs to be moved around, or it needs to, I don't know, be more flexible, of course, that's something you can always do. But I also think it's so important to have kind of an end date around it. Of course, one or the other may have to sacrifice their lives, or wherever they're living at the time, or if you plan to move somewhere new together, that's also super amazing. But just to ensure that there is a mutual willingness of continuing to put in effort, of continuing to show up for one another, and make sure that you're still on the same path towards your goal. I am very much big on communication, I would say, in all aspects of my life, and something that I genuinely love to learn more about. In our relationship and with doing long distance, I really believe that communication is essentially the foundation of it all. Also, thank God we have FaceTime, which makes life much easier. Otherwise, I mean, you would genuinely be a pen pal, which is not very exciting in a romantic relationship. But being able to see each other on the phone, of course, you need to set time aside for it. And depending on how busy your schedules are, obviously it's very normal to want to have alone time as well, but just ensuring that you are putting the effort into at least speaking for X amount of minutes that, satisfies both of your needs. Also ensuring that you are kind of on the same page of your expectations. Is texting every day something that's important to you? Is FaceTiming every day something that's important to you? Obviously, every partnership is very different in that regard, where I know couples who also, if they're physically apart, they don't talk to each other for a few days. And that's obviously no one's place to judge. If it works in your relationship, that's what matters. I have found that with doing long distance, hard conversations surface much easier. Of course, that's not necessarily a bad thing. If anything, I think it's also kind of a good thing, because then you get straight to the point of perhaps things which are triggering you, things that you would like to be different, or ways in your relationship that you think could be worked on. Of course, there are always things that are going to trigger you, and that doesn't need to be a negative thing. If anything, I believe that it's something which helps you learn more about yourself and also understand, why does this trigger me? What can my partner and I work on to be better, to ensure that both of us are not getting triggered in whatever way that may be? With long distance, trust is also a very important topic. I'm sure the infidelity rate of people who do long distance is pretty high, but in my opinion, I also think that that just kind of clears the relationship if it's not meant to be. You clearly need to have a strong foundation in trust. For us, it really helped to be very honest about what we were doing, who we were with. You don't need to, cut corners and, let's say, sneak around. There's no reason to do so. And if you are, that's also kind of just shows you that maybe the relationship is not right for you. But just being able to be honest and giving your partner space, realizing that they also have a life and you both are a positive addition to each other's lives, and you don't want to take away anything that may cause you not to feel like yourself. Trusting is obviously a choice. It's a choice to not be controlling. It's a choice to not feel so anxious over it. And it's also a choice that you need to make every day if you want the partnership to work. Without trust, then there's no reason to be in the relationship, because nothing's going to work. You have to believe what your partner shares with you and vice versa, and really, put your best foot forward and best interest into believing in the person that you're with. Of course, when you are, let's say, having issues or having an argument when you are apart, your emotions are extremely amplified, and it's so much easier to, let's say, lash out and spiral and just close your phone and ignore them, which I don't advise in doing so just because it's not fair to your partner, but something that you have the control over, and ensuring that you also just work through your issues. You need to be the best version of yourself to be the best partner for your partner. Another fact that long distance, I would say, has taught me, and something that I think I will probably carry with myself for the rest of my life, if that sounds cheesy, but whatever, is that long distance has taught me that it's not about control, it's about emotional regulation and understanding my emotions and why I'm reacting, and if there is even a need to react. Sometimes a simple conversation of just clearing the air is much more beneficial than one or the other spiraling and freaking out. I would say also that the emotional drop, quote unquote, after you have been with each other for quite some time, you naturally get accustomed to your partner and accustomed to, kind of living with them, honestly, for an extended period of time, a few weeks or whatever it may be. Saying goodbye at the airport is something that is really sad. It's almost, I don't want to call it grief, because grief is kind of an intense word, but you do miss, let's say, a little part of just your day-to-day that you have had with your partner. You start waking up alone in your bed, or, you start going back to your reality. Long distance for us also kept us on such a high, and it's been so fun, honestly. I don't advise it to everyone, but we have had a very positive experience doing long distance. But of course, when you do separate, it's really detrimental. You cry, you miss your partner, and you miss that, let's say, perfect dream life that you were living with them for, X amount of time. We all know that a relationship and partnership is a positive add-on to your life. And I have also found it so important with being apart to date, to flirt, to joke, to enjoy each other's company. Although it might be through FaceTime, even watching a movie together and trying to romanticize the distance and ensuring that you are doing quote unquote normal things that couples do together, trying to make it feel as normal as possible, enjoying each other's company, having fun, doing whatever it may be that you and your partner enjoy doing together. Another huge part of long distance that I believe is not spoken enough about is your independence. Long distance, of course, forces you to be independent as an individual. You're together, like I mentioned, you have this miraculous time together, and then once one of the persons, or, once you're separated, you sit there and you're alone. You have to go back to your routine. You have to go back to work, be with your friends. And honestly, I think it's super healthy. Reflecting on our relationship, my partner and I are both very independent people. We have our routines. And naturally, when you are in a relationship, you do kind of everything together. But at least when you are doing long distance, you don't forget that part of yourself that perhaps you may have if you were physically present. Because it's natural when you start dating someone, spend all your time together with them. The only thing you want to do is spend time with them. But also with doing long distance, it forces both of you to remember who you are. At the end of the day, I would say that I recommend doing long distance just because it genuinely tests your relationship. It tests whether or not that's the right person for you to be with communication, with trust, with independence, and the list goes on. It's not just something that's convenient. You genuinely both need to put in mutual willingness. It obviously requires two adults, to be mature, to communicate through hardship, to understand how to love each other better, and helps you be more independent and not so codependent within. At the end of the day, long distance is not something I would say was easy for us. It was most definitely a test, but we did persevere to our goal of living together, hence in our apartment. And I think it was wonderful. I wouldn't change anything. It was super important in our relationship to get to know each other in that aspect. It created such a wonderful foundation that I think is important in every single partnership to have, whether you are doing long distance, considering it, or if you don't need to, which is also wonderful. I hope you enjoyed my little episode on long distance. It was definitely a time of my life, but yet I'm also very happy that that ship has sailed and I've entered a new chapter of my partnership. Bye!